Croeso nôl, welcome to the latest Fearless and Devotion and a happy new year. I just want to mention the Fat Ball first, our brilliant sponsors. Tim, I keep seeing adverts for the Buck. Is it a new Rich Watkin venture? And if so, is it in town or is it a bit further afield?
No, it's Bangor-on-Dee. It's in Bangor-on-Dee. Legendary, the Buck in Bangor-on-Dee. So yes, that is another one to add to the portfolio of Bardon Rich PLC or Incorporated or whatever corporation they put after their title. So good luck to them. I'm sure they'll be fine, especially all the race goers in that neck of the woods. So yes.
Yep, collect the set. Talking about sets, our home form is still pretty brilliant. What an exhilarating match after about 41 minutes it was today. Tim, you were there. Your initial sort of thoughts?
It was just mad. I mean, I was thinking about this before, like our home form over the past 2.5 years has to be up there with the best in Europe, if not world football. I don't want to stretch it too much, but I mean, we're so good at home. And that said, the first 44, 45 minutes today, we were just a bit insipid, and it was just pass, but not much in the way of movement or any cutting edge. And, you know, as Boreham Wood and so many teams have learned, don't bloody poke the Wrexham bear pit with a stick early doors, because it will come to bite you on the arse. And we blew them away in that weird period of added time, 40 minutes added time. That did us the world of good, and it was a massive issue for them because they were in the ascendancy, really. And after that, it just disrupted their flow massively, destabilized them and give us the leg up. And what a mad, if you'd have told me like literally after 40 minutes we'd be 3-1 up at halftime, I would have said you were mental, because it didn't look like that at all. So to do what we did, almost like I suppose the Americans would call it a power play or something, I don't know, but it was
A clutch play. What's that? Are we bringing that in?
So yeah, I'm just absolutely buzzing because I didn't see that after the initial first half display. And then obviously the goals are brilliant, and obviously Fletcher wraps up his hat trick later on. And yeah, just really good second half and a bit of a buffer in 3rd to 4th place, and hot on the heels of Stockport and Mansfield. What a time! What a start to the new year.
Yeah, a good Michael Buffer there between us and 4th.
Bruce Buffer.
Look, I mean, as soon as they scored early doors, I thought we were in for a really tough time, because I was looking at their back three and they were so tight. They weren't giving us any space. Their midfield were dropping deep. I couldn't really see us working through. But I think Fletcher was the difference, really. I was just reading loads of tweets from people saying Mullin and Fletcher can't play together.
I was one of them. I was like, I jokingly said to someone, I mean, surely that's the slowest strike force since Goldan Mateo and Kwame Thomas, like half joking. But in my head, the last time we saw him start was at Bradford.
Yeah.
And he wasn't on it, but I don't think he was fully fit. He wasn't like fully match fit. And today, I mean, he just showed why he's a seasoned international who's played at a high level for most of his career. We'll forgive the fact he was born in Shrewsbury, but he's just got himself another starting spot for that game, which we'll come to shortly.
Yeah, definitely. Liam, you're sort of looming over us like a meerkat, and rather than your normal haunched position. Can Fletcher be the difference for us this season? Just looking at some of the touches, some of the link-up play was just absolutely fantastic. There was always that question mark: could he last the whole game? Well, he proved today that he could. And is this really the time for him to shine now?
I hope so, yeah, because me and the lads that sit around us, we were just looking at each other in disbelief as those goals were rolling in at some time. Just that he just oozes class. And when I saw his name on the team sheet, I was like, okay, I quite like having him in the impact sub role, because he's been so effective from that. And I'm like, he's been injured. Do you take something away slightly by the fact we're playing him a full game? And there was a few times in the first 40 minutes or so when he was playing quite clever flicks and stuff, but it wasn't really coming off. And I think I might have commented about that literally seconds before he scored the first goal. So it just goes to show give players a bit of time. I think also pleasing was the way he linked up with Mullin as well. I think sometimes I'm thinking of the likes of the Walsall game. Mullin looked quite isolated up front. I think Fletcher, they started playing a lot closer together as the half wore on, linking up really nicely, and Mullin looked better for it as well. So that's got to be a massive plus for us.
Yeah, it's game intelligence, I think, with those two. They're both very smart footballers, and I think they're able to sort of see what the game needs and adapt to that. And that salvo at the end of the half just blew everyone away. Not least, not least our friends from Britain's longest cul-de-sac. Tim, I just want to talk about the midfield. Is that our best midfield at the moment? I mean, Gorgeous George came in. I thought he was fantastic. There's maybe a shout that Jones starts in there, but as a midfield with a little bit of everything, George breaking it up and doing it simple, Cannon breaking the lines, and Lee just being Lee. Is that the best we've got at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's the best of what we got at the moment, for sure. Can it be improved? Of course it can. What can't be improved? There's just elements of that midfield at first, which was annoying me because I found Lee quite far on the left rather than being more central. And I wasn't really sure. I wasn't quite having the impact he had. And he sort of grew into the game, as did most of the players, to be honest. But yeah, George Evans was just unbelievably good. So good. Just adds balance and drive and just got the vision as well. I thought he was great. And it is the best we got. Cannon, brilliant. Again, another solid 7, 8 out of 10. Really on it. So yeah, it's the best of what we got at the moment. Do we still need somebody in there that can maybe add a bit more pace? We keep coming back to pace because obviously Walsall are out in spades, and we don't really have that much pace in the squad. So I think we do need maybe somebody in there that can add a bit more zip to the attack as well. But on the whole, delighted. And I forgot to mention that I read somewhere that was Steven Fletcher's first ever hat-trick in English football, and it was his 400th Football League appearance or 400th appearance in British football, like something like that. Just mad. But yeah, sorry about going back to Fletcher. But yeah, 100%, that is our best midfield at this present moment in time.
Let's talk about McLean, Liam. I wish he could. He seems such a slow starter in games, and I was saying this against Walsall where he gets caught out, but he really seems to grow into them, doesn't he? And I think in the second half, obviously he was right in front of you. He seemed electric. Really, he seemed to ooze class. Really.
Yeah, the thing with him as well is he sort of, when you're in a battle, I think he's exactly the sort of player that you want. And today was sometimes it was by accident. You had the two players going down for the best part. We had 25 minutes added on between the two halves, but it was getting a bit niggly in the first half. There's a bit of an edge to it. They were taking their time. It's winding things up. And I think that sort of game, that sort of atmosphere suits James McLean down to a T. But yeah, first half, I wasn't particularly convinced. I know you've asked the question before, is he a left wing back? And I think it's, I know we took the piss, but it's a valid question. But yeah, as the game wore on, he just grew into it, albeit with that risk that you often think he's not far away from a red card. There was one challenge, I think, particularly in the first half, where you thought on another day he could have gone for that. But again,
he flew into that. He flew into it. He really did. He won the ball, but another referee could have seen that and gone, right, you're out of control there. Even though you have won the ball, you have clipped the man. So yeah, I think when we signed him, we always knew that there was that danger. But do you know, Mark, mate, we're used to playing with 10 men. We do it every other week. So
yeah, and the thing I'll say about the head clash in the second half is I was surprised the referee gave a free kick, because to me it was just two players going in for an honest 50-50 challenge, and it was really, really unfortunate that the lad got stretchered off. But I think the reason why people were wondering if he was going to get sent off was because the free kick was given, but it didn't really make much sense to me in that regard. There was a lot of their players were talking to the referee for a long time, trying to convince them. But then I could see Mendy coming on soon after, just so that you avoid that risk, because I think he was a marked man after that.
Yeah, just to say, I've just been on the Barrow the Barrow Twitter feed now, and it seems like both the fellows who were injured are out of hospital now. So I think it's Worrell who went down first, and the lad who replaced him what was his name?
Lucas Stevenson.
Stevenson, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they. I think Worrell was taken to hospital, but has been released and is now on his way home. So that's good, because that was really scary. I mean, it must be the longest Wrexham game ever, because we were down for a good 15, 16 minutes treating him, and it didn't seem, he didn't seem to be moving for a lot of it. But I'm just glad to say that he is well now. Promotion race and where we sort of are now. Now, we said we had that little bit of buffer. Where are the threats coming from? Do we think that Barrow can mount a serious threat from what we've seen today? Tim, you're shaking your head, so I'm going to come to you first.
I just think
if it's not Barrow, where is the other threat for this third place going to come from?
You know what? It's a difficult one, because I think Milton Keynes Dons are creeping again, but they're still 10 points behind us. Granted, game in hand, but I just think Barrow, similar to what we experienced a few seasons ago, don't necessarily have the squad depth, which might catch up with them. So I think they may drop. But let's make no illusions that prior to today, they'd only conceded 20 goals in 25 games. So strong defensive unit that we put to the sword. I think that buffer, I don't want to get carried away with the 4 points there, but it looks great. I mean, it's Mansfield, Stockport, us. Stockport played a game more than us. They played 2 games more than Mansfield. Us and Mansfield on level peg in 49 points. I just think now the challenge, Parky will say, look, you're in the top 3, right? The challenge for you now is to stay there. Stay there, create that gap, put the pressure on the teams below you as well as above. It's great to put the pressure on above and go for that title, but we know that we just need to be 3rd or above. It's as simple as that. So put the pressure on above and below, create the gap, and go for it. And I just think going into, we've come through a really busy festive period pretty well, really. We didn't get the 100% that I predicted, but it's gone pretty well. And I just think I just can't see us relinquishing that 3rd spot. I just can't see it. I can't, because even today, and I want to make a slight point quickly. Somebody behind me said we're going to Wrexham it when we went 1-0 down. But for me, that term, Wrexham in it, doing a Wrexham, typical Wrexham, it's no longer for me associated. It's no longer has negative connotations associated to it, because doing a Wrexham now is all about, if you piss us off and you take the lead, we will bounce back, mostly at home. But that's the thing we've got now. We've just got this sheer determination and belief that even if we'd have gone 2-0 down, there was still this belief that we would get something from it or win it. And yeah, so doing a Wrexham to me is no longer a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned our home form, so we've still got Mansfield and Stockport to play at home. Away from home, I think we played everyone but the top from 2 in the top 8. We've got to go to MK Dons and we've got to go to Crewe. My only fear about, and this brings us on to Walsall, which is the match we need to talk about. But my fear is when it's quite a tight ground and they're really honest and they're really pressing us, I think we can come a cropper. We did at Walsall. It was the same at Accrington. That's where I see the danger. And it doesn't have to be a top side to do that. They just need to work us out and do a number on us. But, Liam, we are going to lose games, aren't we? And we are, everyone is going to. And with 4 promotion places, it's not the end of the world that we do. And so after Walsall, I don't know what you were feeling, but I'm top of the world again now because we bounced back with that win.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't the end of the world. I mean, I'll be honest, it was an abject performance. Didn't enjoy watching it. That was the worst tenner I spent over Christmas, probably paying to watch that on the iFollow. But actually, a lot of the overreactions you see, and I know it's social media and you take it with a pinch of salt, blah, blah, but it's, the odd person saying, oh, is Mullin past it? oh, Parky needs to, sort his act out and all this sort of thing. And I'm just thinking, yeah, like last season, okay, it was high pressure. We had to win a lot of games in order to win the title because that's the best way to ensure promotion. But this season, I think we overachieved so far. I was going to be happy with, playoff position. So for me, anything else is a bonus, and I think you just got to keep it in perspective. And it's like Tim said, doing a Wrexham now is actually a positive thing. And I did say to someone before the match, I wouldn't be surprised if after that performance we now go on and beat Barrow, which, let's be honest, was a real test with the run of games they were on. Was it 14 league games unbeaten or something like that? Yeah. I thought they were going to come and potentially we were going to be in for a really tough time. I mean, we were for majority of the first half, but when we turned it on, we looked a class above today, and you saw the experience and the quality of the likes of Fletcher, McLean, Mullin all came in superbly. So yeah, we've got to be positive. Got to be happy with where we are completely.
Yeah. Don't want to dwell on Walsall too much, but Luke Young came in. Tim, me and you were there. He didn't really grab his chance, did he? Seemed to bypass him a little bit.
Yeah, it did. And I don't want to get sentimental about it. I think he's a good squad player for us now. But I think he can be a very good first team player, probably elsewhere if we're being really, really honest about it. And Luke Young will not want to play second fiddle because he's just full of energy, isn't he? So yeah. he want to do that somewhere else. And I think if any player left now, they would go massively with good grace. He's the longest serving player at the club, as it stands. In the current squad. So. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't quite happen for him, but it didn't quite happen for a lot of players that day, to be perfectly honest. So
you know what, Tim? It didn't happen for Elliot Lee. I thought he probably had his worst game for us. One thing that did sort of brighten that though was his new deal, which was announced with some sort of New Year pizzazz by the club, backed up by Ryan and Rob. Both Mullin and Lee have signed new 3-year deals. The Saudi move is off the table for Paul Mullin, if you even knew it was on the table. What do you think, Tim? Just a good statement of intent. Do you think that's their careers at Wrexham now?
Yeah, I was delighted. I was also very, very annoyed that I was about to go to turn in and then realise that, oh, great, I'm now going to put that out on the socials.
Oh, so, you're the real victim of.
Well, yeah, I am actually. But no, it's great. It's well deserved, and ultimately, that to me says you are seeing out your playing days with Wrexham. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's great. I also know I know our guest is currently waiting, but you've glossed over the Okonkwo thing. I know you were trying your best. You tried your best.
Who's Okonkwo? I'm not aware of him.
Well, it's happening. So we'll do it quickly and briefly.
Well, okay, all right. Great to have Mullin and Lee signed up long term. If I'm being absolutely honest, I'd love to get Big Arthur signed up as well. I think that would be my perfect transfer window with maybe another striker. We've been linked with this Shankland again. It seems there's been another tweet from one of these accounts. I just texted my my heart supporting mate. Said Shankland, any good? And he said, yeah, he's quality. Yeah, Shankland. He says, yeah, he's quality, been in great form recently. If he leaves Hearts, we'll be in trouble. So prefer if you don't take him. All right, then. Well, Scottish Pete says we can't have him. Then I'm sorry that transfer is now off the books.
Scottish Pete.
Go back to Okonkwo, Tim. What you got for us?
It's obviously the festive book of Okonkwo is at a close. So back to the chapters. So I'm going to go with a 90s hit. So here we go. Happening. Got to build up to the chorus. Context. 20 seconds, Andy. It'll all be over. Don't worry. What is love? Arthur Okonkwo. Okonkwo. In goal. What is love? Arthur Okonkwo. On loan from Arsenal.
Oh,
thank you. Thank you.
Right, I'm going to admit our guest, Tim, if you want to introduce. But can I just say that there wasn't a Quanco song sung at Walsall, and it wasn't any of the ones that you did. Was that like a dagger to the heart, Tim?
I didn't hear that. I chose not to hear it. But
I heard a lot. It was
that's
wake me
bollocks.
up
Right.
before you go. Who
Oh, yeah,
needs
but that-
Foster when you've got a Quancro?
Whatever, right? I'm not having that, but that's an old one. And we'll get through them. Anyway, coming back to our guest, which we've all got all of our swearing and everything out the way. So let's bring in Ollie, who is a Shrewsbury fan. He is from the Salopcast. So yeah, we're going to hit the ground running and get into this next match. Sunday's 2 p.m. kickoff, third round FA Cup. Big game. Well, it is for us. Ollie, welcome. How are you? He's fuming. He doesn't speak to us. There's movement in the earpieces for everybody who's not on YouTube, but there's no sound. Come on, Ollie. Is he going to text me? Are you there, Ollie? Do you want to speak to us? Speak to us, Ollie.
These
Come
are
in,
always the
Ollie.
best bits.
These are always the best bits.
Yeah.
Is he there? He's there, but I could make a joke about him being there, but there's nobody home.
Well, don't do that.
Yeah.
He is the guest.
Yeah, I know.
Ollie, can you hear us? Can you put your thumbs up if you can hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Hey, is that you? I was you, Liam. It was you.
Oh.
I thought it was him. This is gone.
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you
That was
did that on
strange.
purpose, just to make us look like twats off the
Well,
bat.
you thought you were saying nasty things about me, but I couldn't.
Oh, yeah, we were.
Right, after that charade, welcome. How are you? You well?
Yep, fine. Thank you very much.
You should be buzzing. Didn't you give Fleetwood a good thrashing today? Tax
Yeah, we
dodging.
did. Yeah, I generally don't understand how you can have a chairman in prison.
Is he still actively the chairman?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, he tried to offload the club to his kids, and the EFL said, "Well, you're taking the piss, lad. You're not having that." But yeah, he still owns the club. He's in prison.
That is unbelievable. That National League title should be tainted and stripped. But there we are.
Yeah,
That's an argument for
it's a
another
joke.
day. Yeah, Ollie, welcome. Let's just dive straight into it. Massive game on Sunday. Shrewsbury against Wrexham at the Crowd Meadow. Is that how we say
Yeah, that's how you say it. Yeah, Crown Meadow. Yeah.
Okay. Let's just go into it. What is the initial feeling amongst the fan base? What was the initial feeling like when it came out? Was it over like joy or a little bit of sort of trepidation?
It's great. Good point. Good place to start. I don't think it will surprise you, but we would like to have played you a few years ago.
Yeah, everybody would have liked to have played us a few years ago.
Yeah,
That's
it was the dream tie when you were, not doing so well in the National League. To be honest, it was always, that'll be great to get you guys. Never happened, obviously. Yeah, I could talk for ages about where Shrewsbury are at the moment. We're not in a great place, to be honest. So over the last 15 years, probably not like exactly the best time to play us, but it's certainly not one of the worst. We've really struggled for goals this season. We haven't had a very good festive win period. Got a good result today, but yeah, it's a bit of a it's going to be an interesting one because obviously you guys know better than me. You're doing well at the moment, and you're on a bit of a crest of a wave. You're building momentum. You've got a good team. Obviously, we are in League One, but for me, this is going to be a feisty game, and I think it's going to be a tough match for both sides as well. It's going to be a very interesting game, and yeah, not exactly the one that we wanted. I did make a joke in our podcast WhatsApp group about if we got you guys, and then it happened. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I saw what you put out before with your defender Tom Flanagan.
Tom Flanagan, yeah,
about him saying, well, I think he's kind of like trying to put a sort of brave face on the fact he's like, well, they're a League Two side and they were semi-pro footballers. I'm not sure. I don't know if he got lost in translation that he was trying to say that we played teams that were semi-pro as opposed to us being semi-pro.
I think he was saying that. And I think he knows football well enough. Most people know that National League is a professional division in all sense and purposes these days.
I mean, having been in the National League for so long, a few of us, me included, were quite guilty of the fact of saying, well, there's not that much difference between League Two and the National League. And then we got up, got promoted, got walloped, opening game of the season against MK Dons, had a couple of hairy moments early doors before acclimatizing. So we kind of get the feeling that, there is a gap. Is there a noticeable gap in League One to League Two as far as you're aware, as far as you've noticed?
Yeah, so we went up and down a few times. So we went up in 2014, 15, and then came back down again. I think the gap then was much bigger. But you just saw it. I'm sure you guys have seen it as well over the last kind of 10 years. Just the physique of the players was different. League One players were much trimmer, and the professionalism of League One has just continued. And there is a difference. Obviously, if you look at history, Bolton did well in League Two, did well in League One. Stevenage doing well this season, but then you look at your Carlisles. They did well last season, but they're a really poor team. And I think there is a gap. For me, is probably be if you guys, likely you guys will get promoted from League Two at some point with investment going into your team. You will have to strengthen, and there's probably a few members of your team today who are ready for League One, but there is a gap. Not just in terms of the players, the physical, the kind of the training that they have, the standards as well, the standards of the stadiums, the pitches, and all that kind of stuff. For me, there is a gap. It's not huge. It's not as big as the Championship to League One, but there is a gap.
Yeah, I thought you might say that, which gives us a little bit of. No, I wouldn't say it would give us some sort
Top
of.
of League One is insane.
The
top of League One, especially last year. The top of League One is so elite. It is really, really elite. And you've got teams in there with some really, really good players. To get out of League One is really tough, and you have to spend I'm fascinated to see how much Ipswich spent, probably maybe 10 million plus in wage bill to get out of League One. And then you look at it is insane. It is insane. And you look at the breadth of League One. In terms of income and stuff, it's an insane division. Look at the top there. Now you've got Pompey, 20,000 fans, billionaire owner. You've got to be a billionaire to start getting into League One Championship, and not just a millionaire.
Wow. Well, if Ryan, if you're listening, tap up your billionaire friends because they're going to be needed. And before we dig into the kind of the rivalry between the clubs, obviously, well, everybody knows about it, well documented. Where would you say your team's strengths and weaknesses are? Like anything obvious that, because I'm sure you'll ask me the question later on. Just in terms of where you're worried and where you're not, in terms from your own side.
Yeah, it's our strength are better players, so players that have played at a higher level. Shay Dunkley is a really good central defender. Played in Championship for Sheffield Wednesday. Really good leader. Will win. It'll be if you do go long balls. He's got one of the best aerial abilities and stats in the division for winning headers. So if you do go long ball, that is a strength for us. Goalkeeper, we've got a goalkeeper who is amazing at shot stopping and saving, top end for League One, but his distribution and stuff isn't great. And we are going through a bit of an huge injury crisis. We had 11 players injured at one point this season, going into November. So we've got some good players spotted around the team. Our weakness is our strikers, not just in terms of, it's too easy to say, oh, we've got bad strikers, we don't score. It's a lot more complicated than that. But yeah, going forward is our big weakness. We have scored so few goals this season is crazy. We scored 3 goals in 13 away games in League One. But at home we are much, much better.
Right. Okay. Intriguing. If I offered you a draw right now on Sunday, would you take it?
No.
Just a straight
Racehorse Ground. We want to go to Racehorse Ground again.
I love that. Nah, not happening. Loads of people have said, yeah, I'd love to get them back here, because obviously a lot of fans missed out on tickets, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Just carnage. But going back to the rivalry, obviously it goes back forever. We haven't played you in a very long time. I remember that the last time we did play you there, and it ended in horrendous circumstances from my point of view. Things have changed dramatically for both clubs. Then, obviously, a long time ago. Was it 2008? I want to say
Something like that. Yeah. It's when you got relegated, wasn't it? So it was 2008. Yeah.
Yeah, deservedly so. Unfortunately, it was a bad team, bad time. Where do you place it? Because I mean, is it one of those where we've spoken to fans of other clubs, but the Tranmeres and the Crews and whatnot, and they're like, it's nice. Annoyingly, it's nice to be back in the division because Crew have got Port Vale, granted, but it's still only 40 minutes to Wrexham. Tranmere, same distance and time, So is it a similar begrudging annoyance from sort of Shrewsbury fans that if you do come back in the division, then it's probably going to be better than I don't know, Hereford or whatever it may be?
Yeah, in terms of who is our biggest rival, Wrexham is by far our biggest rival. We've had Chester when they were in the Football League, weren't they? Then we had when we had 1 year in the conference, and then we've had Hereford when Gray and Turner was there, and they had their time, and we have a lot of coppers when we play Port Vale, and Warsaw's never nothing. Warsaw's a nothing real game. You might get some people drinking a bit and a bit of police aggro, but it's not a rivalry. I'd say our only rivalry is with Wrexham. And obviously that's subdued over the last 15 years with you guys being in the non-league. And it's really interesting. I'm in some lots of different football chats and stuff, and I was chatting to people about rivalry. I think it's a really interesting discussion. What is a rivalry? And I think a rivalry can only really exist if you play each other regularly. Think of let's not go to Premier League level, but like Ipswich and Norwich. I looked at the numbers because I'm a bit of a loser, and they played each other twice as many times as we've played you guys.
Right.
So I think rivalry, you need that. You need to regularly play each other. I've got some friends, got a guy I know, I've known for a long time. He's a forklift driver in the Kellogg's factory. He's the only Shrewsbury fan. So there's a couple of people I know who know Wrexham, but yeah, as soon as the draw came, Wrexham have always been the number one shoot. You might have different opinions, doesn't really change our perception of it. But it's interesting. I was thinking of this on the game today. There was a few Wrexham chants in the game today, but over the course of the last 10 years, there's been very few, very, very, very few. So we might do a Wrexham chant, I don't know, once in a blue moon. Yeah. Because you had disappeared. Like I've done the podcast for 8 years now, and I'd say for the first 5 years until Rob and Ryan took over, not one Wrexham fan messaged me.
Yeah.
And then it's started to get a little bit noisier and a bit noisier and a bit noisier over the last few years. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know what your perception of it is, but yeah, Wrexham is definitely Shrewsbury's biggest rival. I think we've missed playing you, but then at the same time we haven't minded you being in non-league and struggling. But at the same time, for me, I've never want a team to go bust and anything like that, because that for me that's not good sport. So I think it's good that you're going to get back into the divisions. It's just a shame from a Shrewsbury perspective. I'm very honest. It's a shame from Shrewsbury perspective that you've got very wealthy owners and very savvy owners. We're sponsored by Crowd Marketing. Never heard of them before. You're sponsored by TikTok and Expedia and United Airlines. So yeah, it's not just who owns you, it's the kind of the resources you guys are tapping into. So I think that's why it makes it a little bit different. I think maybe if you're coming up back into the league on your own steam, maybe that'd be a little bit different. But yeah, I think we're very, very aware that you guys are just flying up the league.
You know what? I've got an index of hate. At the top by far is Chester. And I don't.
You're never going to play them again, are you?
Yeah, but
we might though. We might. What you're saying, Ollie, what you just said then about Wrexham being out the leap and then suddenly coming back, and you don't mind you're going to play him in like the third round of the FA Cup one day, as long as you get to squish him. Go on, Andy.
But I know what you mean about not really playing. I mean, I've been to Gay Medal once. I think it was the match. Tim, you were there as well when Lee Jones scored late on, so that must have been late 90s. Young kid by then.
Yeah,
but
2001, that I think.
Yeah, was it? But I think rivalry-wise, has always been Chester. But then I do take on what you're saying about what you're playing regularly, because over the last couple of seasons, it's probably been County, and before that, it was Fleetwood. And, you always sort of pick up a sort of rivalry. It doesn't have to be sort of close to you.
We had that with Charlton for a little bit, for a few years. We kept playing them in like playoffs and stuff, and we had a few aggro games of them, and yeah, you can have short-lived rivalries going.
Yeah, and I think we're trying to sort of shrug off County, but it's a bit hard at the moment because they keep coming through us. I'd love to rekindle our sort of hatred of you guys, and I think we are going to be knocking around the same leagues for the next couple of years. So there's always a chance we can rekindle that. But it's it's nice to know you hated, really, because I think for some
Hate
reason
might be a strong word, but I get what you're saying.
I know, but for some reason Hereford really can't stand us, and
They can't
I
stand us
work,
either.
yeah, I can't work out why.
Nobody can stand us anymore now. When we play Millwall, inevitably in the future, it's going to be the most hated club derby, basically, between us and them. Great.
Yeah, but also Tranmere hate us quite a bit more than they should. Stockport, for example, we don't know where that rivalry's come from. We're not really that bothered by them, are they? Are we? But anyway, coming back to it, I want to sort of slightly change it. Now we got a player called Ryan Barnett who has showed flashes for us. I think he's been injured this season, but I think we've got a player there. Now he obviously started with you guys. Why didn't he make it there? Because he seemed to have all the sort of raw ingredients to really sort of shine at sort of a League One, League Two level.
Yeah, it's a good question. I thought this one might come up. Ryan Barnett, and it happened. I have ended up having this debate or argument with a lot of Shrewsbury fans about players we release. And Ryan Barnett left Shrewsbury in League One to go and play for Solihull Moors, and no one else took him. And he's played 10 games in League Two.
Yeah.
So while we've had players that have left us, like Tom Bradshaw went to Walsall, then now he's played in Championship. There's a guy that went to Burnley and played in the Premier League. I can't think of his name now. Who we let go, and then he worked his way up back to the Premier League. Very rarely, you let a player go, and in brutal terms, he just wasn't good enough for League One, and that makes it much harder. And you'll find this as well as you go through the leagues. It's much harder to get youth players to come into your first team when you're in League One. In recent years, we've lost a player to Newcastle this summer called Hearns, who's supposed to be really good, which is a real shame. I think it was actually Sean Harvey that set up that beautiful rule where basically Premier League teams can steal our players for free. And then the last player we had was Connor Goldson, who played for Rangers, and Ryan Woods, who's played in the Championship as well. And there just hasn't been many. So it's kind of a long-winded answer to your question. Unfortunately, he just wasn't good enough to play for us at the time. And then he left, and then he went and played for Solihull.
Yeah, sometimes people have to drop a few levels.
And sometimes you need to leave.
Yeah.
You need to leave. It's really bugging me. I can't remember who that player was because you'd recognise the name. He scored goals in the Premier League. He's probably on like 50, 60k. He was when he was at Watford and Burnley. But yeah, sometimes you need to leave, don't you? That change of environment can kind of spur a player on.
Yeah. It wasn't Gray, was it?
Yeah.
Andrew Gray, right?
Yeah, he had loads of trouble. I don't really know much about it, but I think he had a lot of trouble with I don't know, you can imagine trouble. I'll say the trouble. I don't really know the details of it. And then left Shrewsbury, probably a bit of a kick up the backside, and then went to non-league, didn't he? Then went back to Premier League.
Yeah, and sort of rebuilt himself. I think when Barnett was sort of coming through, you had a manager who we knew quite well, Samuel the Snake Ricketts. Now we've had him on the podcast, and he was actually really engaging, really sort of sound fella. But we didn't think that at the time when you came and poached him from us. I mean, how do you sort of reflect on that? I mean, did he do well for you? Was he a bit unlucky or no? Okay, fair enough. Set me right here, Ollie.
He's a very lovely man. He brought me and Glyn, who I used to do the podcast with, who sadly died just over a year ago. He brought me and Glyn an ice cream, so he can't be that bad a guy. And we did a podcast with him. And he's a lovely guy. We had a couple of meetings with like small fan groups with him. He seemed like a lovely bloke. I did feel a little bit sad. I wasn't very original, but I coined the phrase Ricketts ball, and it got so popular that it was like on every week everyone's using the term on BBC Shropshire. In real simple terms, he was rubbish. He was a really, really bad football manager. Lovely bloke, but an awful football manager. remember me, it was in COVID and me and Glyn did a live podcast and we're away at Ipswich and we're winning 1-0. And on the 80th minute, I said, we'll lose. And we did, we lost 2-1. And the team just had no game plan. He couldn't do anything. So, yeah, we probably did you a favour there, to be honest. Because, yeah, he just wasn't.
Glad he didn't at the time.
No.
Because we were flying.
Doing
and then,
really well,
and
yeah.
Shit. But, yeah.
And it was, for us, that was the Paul Hurst kind of bug where we basically wanted to pick up another manager who's done well in the lower leagues. When we went for him, yeah, for me it was a bit of a mistake in the end. But you never know, do you?
That's crazy. Good times. Yeah, God, how long ago was that? 2018, wasn't it? I think.
No, 2019 or 20, something like that. Yeah, 19 maybe. Yeah, he didn't last long.
Jesus.
Oh, he did actually. He lasted a season and a half. But he was in the COVID season. And that's what's kind of saved him a bit, because we finished 16th in inverted commas, and then the next season we were rubbish.
He now runs the builders merchants.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's got out of the game completely.
Mad, wild times. So yeah, just coming back to the game, it's likely to sell out. Is it? Is the capacity about 8,500? Is it
10,000? It's like 9,990 or something like that, and there's like 1,700 or something like that in the away end.
Right. Okay. So that will be sold out. I know it's live on S4C for anybody who didn't get a ticket. I mean, in terms of you mentioned that you got a long injury list. We've had something similar as well. Are there any of those players that are coming back that you think will come back in time for Sundays? Anybody that you're desperate to shoehorn back into that side where it's needed, especially up top?
Yeah, Tom Bayliss, he's a really good midfielder. Signed for Preston for £1 million, and then didn't do so well at Preston, and we picked him up. He's a good midfielder, so hopefully he'll be back. And we've got loads of injured players on loan, which is really frustrating. So I'm not sure when they will be back. So I don't think there'll be anyone. Well, Shahar, who's a centre back, we signed from Barnsley. He's been really good actually. Left-sided centre back. He come in. So, but I don't think there'll be anyone in time for Sunday. The only thing that might happen is we are trying to sign a few players. But I don't. Matt Taylor, don't think he would throw someone in. And I don't think it's really a very good idea to throw someone in unless we sign an absolute superstar. I don't really expect too many changes for Sunday.
And in terms of style of play, is there an obvious style of play that you go for? Can you mix it up? What sort of formation do you go for?
Style of play, utter dog shit. Like we are like away at Burton. I've never seen a team just hoof it constantly.
Right.
It was unbelievable. Shrewsbury Town fans were chanting, Matt Taylor, your football shit. It was that bad. And we've like how we've got this many points and be 13th in League One is just unbelievable. Well, there was a point, I think it was in October or November, maybe even early November. Every goal we'd scored earned us points. We hadn't wasted a single goal. But we beat Derby, we beat Fleetwood, we got like managed to pick up load of points. So, but then today we played some good stuff. We played much better today. We do play much, much better at home. If it was away at your place, I'd have a give zero hope. Because it is at home, that does give us some hope. So our style of play, probably similar to Parkinson, quite direct, get the ball forward. The challenge we have is you don't really have target men like you do. But we do have some players in midfield. Perry, midfield, is a good player. Tom Bayliss is a good player. So we do have some footballers, and we did show a bit more style and a bit more creativity today.
How's Ryan? Sorry, just to cut in. How's Ryan Bowman getting on? Because I feel like he's a player we've encountered a few times in sort of non-league football. I was just wondering how he's getting on in the Football League.
He did all right at Exeter in League Two. Without being too harsh, he's not really League One standard. His contract went up in the summer and we signed him back. And we had a very, very turbulent summer, and still kind of having the aftermath of that still now. So I think we picked him up as he's a bit of a solid performer. He's not going to score many goals. He does work hard. But for me, he's not irreplaceable at all. So he's certainly not one of our star men.
If you can pick Shrewsbury Town to be promoted and lose to Wrexham, or beat Wrexham and Shrewsbury Town just to stay in League One and await our arrival next year, which one would you pick?
Sorry, say that again.
If you could pick either Shrewsbury to beat Wrexham and Shrewsbury not to go up, or Shrewsbury to go up and lose to Wrexham, which one would you pick?
Well, getting promoted out of League One is so far away from my
Well, let's just-
but I'd want to be. I was talking to some fans today, so I answered differently. But yeah, I said to some fans around me, "Would you be happy to have shit football for the rest of the year and just survive and beat Wrexham?" And everyone said yes, very much so. So we don't think we're going to get relegated this year because League One is dreadful this year. But we're really. I think it's always funny rivalries. You don't want to lose. I don't want to go to Racecourse Ground either. So obviously, I only want us to win, but I really, really don't want us to lose to you guys because that would just absolutely dreadful.
Andy, Liam, Andy,
I've just got one last question. I've not been to the
I
new
was
ground.
asking that question to you two first, in the
Oh.
interest of fairness.
Sorry, what is it?
So you have a Wrexham go up or lose to Shrewsbury, or beat Shrewsbury and Wrexham to miss
We'll
out.
just go up. I don't give a fuck. We just need to get promoted.
Yeah,
Should
I
have
think
said both. Be greedy.
Yeah, I don't care.
In both.
we're in a slightly different boat in the respect
Yeah.
of, I think we have got the resources whereby if we did go up, that we could. Yeah, I'm not saying we'd ace League One because, you know, as you rightly say, it's a different prospect. But yeah, I could put it this way, I could take losing to Shrewsbury and going up, albeit I do work with a few Shrewsbury fans these days, so that could be interesting.
Yeah, you're a border straddler, aren't you, Liam?
I was joking with Tim. This is the first time I've ever spoken to Wrexham fans, and I'm speaking to 3 at once.
Amicably.
We like to gang up.
I bumped into some Shrewsbury fans at Telford Services on the way back from Walsall. And it's quite funny. This old fella with a massive Shrewsbury scarf and looked at me, saw my Wrexham fan. He was like, for fuck's sake. And I was like, I looked at his scarf and went, yep. And he goes, you're going to tear us a new arsehole on Sunday. That said, it sounded like you were pretty shit today. I was like, yeah, it's a fair point. It's a good assessment, really. So yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good occasion, I think.
Can I just ask? Ollie, can I just ask you something about the ground? Because I've not been to the new one. I think a lot of Wrexham fans probably haven't. Anything we should know? Anything? I mean, is there pubs around there? I mean, just Walsall caught me out on Wednesday. That's all. Because I sort of rocked up and went, right, what am I going to do? Oh, go to Pets at Home. Seemed to be the only thing I could do, really. So, is there any better?
No, unfortunately, obviously, we've been taken from a absolutely glorious location, not in terms of flooding, but in terms of pubs. Obviously, at the Old K Meadow was amazing for that. The new one is really tough, and for away fans, it's pretty poor, to be honest. I'm not sure if I imagine they'll be serving alcohol to you guys in the ground. It'd be a shame not to. But yeah, in terms of a match day experience, the new ground isn't that great, to be honest. Sorry, I can't tell you anything better than that.
I've got visions of Andy tipping up in Walsall now with like a gerbil or a hamster.
There is a fan zone. So if you were, I don't know, if you weren't Wrexham and you were, I don't know, Gillingham or any other team, I'd say, yeah, come to the fan zone. There'd be like, you can go to the fan zone. There's a load of like burger bars and stuff, and like a bottle bar, and there's a bar at the back as well. But obviously, this is going to be different. So I think on a normal match day experience, you would be able to come, have a drink, mingle with Shrewsbury fans. But given this is Shrewsbury Wrexham, I imagine there'll be a 100 coppers standing between us, and probably not serving you any alcohol.
At the very least, I think. But yeah, it should be interesting. Should we do some predictions, Andy, for this one? I think.
Yes, let's do it. Let's go into it. We just got one game next week, haven't we? It's just Shrewsbury, isn't it?
You say just Shrewsbury.
I know it's a big one.
It is.
It's a big one, and I am looking forward to it. I've managed to get a ticket. First time I've been to this ground, and so I'm going to drive up. So I probably won't need a pint. I'll just do the park and ride.
Don't do the park and ride. That's the mistake I did.
No, don't do park and ride. I'll message you where to park. I'll do you a favour.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
I did the park and ride last time we played there, and it was just horrible.
No, you don't want to do that. You just want to park and walk, drive and walk.
That's good. Some good insider knowledge here. Right. Tim, do you want to go first? What's your prediction?
And I reckon we give it to our guest of honor first, and then we'll do ours. So we'll throw it to Ollie first, seeing as he doesn't want to replay.
So I can see. I always do. I won't just say scores. I can see Mullin scoring early on, and you'll get really happy and excited. So you score after like 10 minutes, and then we'll score just before half time. And we've got a big knack of scoring in extra time. So we had a great moment last season where Bolton fans were taking the piss and saying we should have gone Christmas shopping, and Shea Dunkley scored in the 96th minute to win. So for me, that would be the glorious kind of cherry on the cake. So yeah, you guys score first, but then we score in extra time to win the game and go through to next round.
So that's
Tim,
a 2-1.
any advance?
Well, yeah, I think so. Just harping on about the being decent in extra time. But talking about first half extra time after a long injury, then we've smashed it after today. So with Shrewsbury-born Steven Fletcher at the helm, hat-trick hero, I think I want to have this belief, even though we're nowhere near as good away as we are from home, I think there is enough bodies back on the line to get through this game. And I think we will win 3-1. I think. I know, yeah. I just look, my heart's ruling my head.
There's one thing I did want to say, like, we're not doing very well, and I think it'd be really interesting for you guys to see it, and it'd be maybe fascinating to chat afterwards, but we're not very good, but we do have some League One players, and it's going to be really interesting to see whether you've probably got at least one League One player in your team, but yeah, I think it'd be a really good marker for you guys to see how good you are versus what Shrewsbury's a pretty poor League One side. Sorry to jump in there.
No, it's fine. I mean, we always sort of think that Parkinson is trying to buy 2 leagues ahead. So when he was in the conference, he was trying to buy the League One standard players, but you don't really see that until you actually come up against a better team. Now, all I would say is last season against Sheffield United, we were brilliant in two games, and we really stood toe to toe with them. And I think the cup does bring it out in us because there is that added sort of profile for it, and our sort of star men do like to shine a little bit more there. I still think it's going to be a draw. I can't get one each out of my head, and I think we'll hopefully beat you in the replay. So I'm going to go for one each. Liam?
I was going to go for exactly the same as you, Andy. I haven't seen many derby
if I
games.
put my hand in the fire, Liam.
Yeah, when do you want to do it now? Or
yeah, okay, you go first. Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to say 1-1 just because I can count the number of sort of derby type games that I've enjoyed on one hand, and I can just see this being quite a tight, testy affair. Not the most attractive to watch, which will be great for the viewers on S4C. So I just think it's going to be a 1-1 draw, and we'll go back to the racecourse and win it.
Okay.
I'll just find out that the draw for the next round will be made on Sunday at around 4:05 after the City-Chelsea game. So I wasn't sure if it was made before or after. So, yeah, we knew beforehand, didn't we, I think, last time?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
To get through. So that was the extra kind of incentive. So it'll be interesting. So we got one predicted Shrewsbury win, one predicted Wrexham win, and 2 sit on the fence with your splinters in your arse draws.
2 hands in the fire.
Right. One in the bush.
Right. I think that's it, guys. I think that summed it up for this week. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll join you after the Shrewsbury match next week.
Don't lose, Parky. Don't lose. Cheers. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, everyone.